Salutations, I am your resident Zalthor. This is my very first series in my channel, and this is actually my very first video that I have ever made for this channel. And it's going to be part of a series called Introductory Ireland. The main reason why I chose an Ireland playthrough for my first is because Ireland is the tutorial island of CK2. Every new player plays, or is recommended to play, Ireland as their first country, as their first endeavor, to create the Kingdom of Ireland and then the Empire of Britannia. And I'll be doing this myself, and I'll be doing it as quickly as I possibly can. And I'll be explaining with heavy commentary my exact thought processes and other nuances that the game has. I'm very knowledgeable in this game, along with other Paradox games. I know how to play them very well. For reference, I play CK2 and EU4 only on very hard because it has some semblance of challenge with that due to the nature of the AI. Normally I'd be getting right into the gameplay, but I like to explain what you would expect watching me, since this is my first video. You're going to see me do heavy commentary on how to play the game and how to utilize the mechanics to your full advantage. While there will be some role-playing, I'm not going to say very much. For instance, when an event pops, I'm not going to check and see what my character's traits are and then determine what he would do. Nope, this is all about what benefits me in the long run, benefits me as a player, as the apparition guiding every single ruler of the house that I'm playing. It is not roleplay heavy. I will not be roleplaying much at all. It's going to be how to play this game and how to utilize his mechanics to the max and how to be maximally efficient in what you do. This is what you should expect when you watch my videos. But let's get right into it. Choose early Middle Ages. The game tick up. Alright. So I'm going to choose, there are many different accounts in Ireland, some are easier than others. I'm going to choose Urhamain because they pretty much all play the same. So I'm going to choose Urhamain here. I always play an Iron Man with achievements enabled, but I do change two rules that do not affect the achievements. But I do change two rules, everything else is default. The rules that I change are Shattered Retreat and Defensive Packs. I turn them off. My reasoning behind this is that both pad out the game to ludicrous levels and add nothing of substance. Now, you're thinking, but doesn't that make the game harder? You said this game has no challenge, wouldn't you want a higher challenge playing this game? And to that, I respond, here's how the game works for Shattered Retreat. Here's how the military works. You'll see this as I play more and more campaigns. You lose your first battle, you pretty much lost the war, at least in the very beginning of the game. Because if you lose, or they lose, now you have more troops than them, and now they have less, which means every subsequent battle, they are going to be losing more and you losing less, because you'll have more troops attacking them and have less troops attacking you. So all Shattered Retreat does is it prolongs the inevitable. And again, it was a feature tacked on a few patches ago. I don't believe this is in the beginning of the game. I do remember playing without Shattered Retreat being in the game at all. I think it to be a very poor feature. It's just tacked on to make it more like EU4, and it's simply, again, it pads the game, and it adds nothing of really substance. You lose your first battle, you lost war, and while I understand complexity, while I understand more things in depth, challenge, I don't want nonsense padding, I don't like grinding, I don't want any of that garbage. If I win, I win, I lose, let's make it quick, let's make it clean, let's not drag on to death for a long time. Let's end their suffering or my suffering quickly and mercifully. It's not drag it out. And for defensive packs, it's the exact same thing. It's a feature tacked on because EU4 had it, and they had to arbitrarily make the game more difficult to stop a player. All it does is it just prolongs the game and drags out longer than it has to. It makes the game more boring in the late game than it already is. So it doesn't work in CK2. Defensive packs don't work, they don't make sense, they're ahistorical, and there are more things to worry about in CK2 than EU4. In EU4, you are playing a country. In EU4, you are playing a nation. You are role-playing a nation, or not role-playing, but playing a nation, and you have to, and that makes more sense. Coalitions forming between nations in that time period makes more sense, and it has to be there because if there wasn't, the game would be easier than it already is. It would be simply too easy because there'd be no penalty. You would have no penalty whatsoever in conquering mass swaths of land. At least with coalitions, you have to manage something. In this game, you have to manage more vassals, you have to make them happy, you have to deal with plots and intrigue and diplomacy, things that are simple enough to manage, but you have to manage them nonetheless. So it just prolongs the game. It pads it in the worst way possible, and it arbitrarily makes the game more difficult, quote unquote. So I have both these features off. I do not feel bad for having these off. They are terrible features, and I'm glad achievements are able to be earned without them on. That was quite the long rant there, but let us begin. So this is just a test. So you're going to do Britannia. Have the game initialize and load right in. Welcome to Crusader Kings 2. We're playing an Irish Catholic chief. Now, first off, I take a look at my console, and I determine if any of them are good or bad enough to keep or not. And turns out every single one of them is fantastic. At least most of them are. This one is very good, the Steward. An 18 in stewardship, very, very nice. He'll give me loads and loads of prestige, which I will need to eventually raise tribal armies in a pinch. Let's go back to the console. This one, court chaplains are relatively useless, unless you have a very large kingdom and need to clean out all the heretics and infidels. But mainly, for us, we want to build zeal to gain extra piety, which we will need to conquer other lands in our early stages. And for Spy Masters, there are two good buttons. Study Tech, you firmly place it in the Byzantine capital for the entire game. Or Scheme, if you're worried about dying due to plot. And for the Marshal, let's increase the levy size a bit. And then for him, he's pretty poor. He's a really good one though, so I'm actually going to have him be my Chancellor. I'm actually going to fabricate a claim on somewhere that I can't get. I'm actually going to fabricate a claim. Well, I'm just going to place it somewhere. Let me take a look at the duchies. Actually, let's look at de jure duchies. So what is a large duchy to be a pretender to? It's Ulster. So I'm actually going to fabricate a claim here. And hopefully I'll get it. There's a 20% chance, 16.61% chance yearly for the claim to be fabricated. So the mean time to happen would be about 5 to 6 years probably. So it'll probably happen within that time. But again, it is random chance. So we'll have to see. Alright, we'll take a look at our main character now. 0 diplomacy, 5 martial, 9 stewardship, 15 intrigue, and 9 learning. He's fairly poor due to that 0, but we don't have that many vassals to manage to begin with. So, I'm not really too hurt by diplomacy there. And I am hurt by the martial, the stewardship is actually quite decent. I'm forced to go piety, or theology for instance, because I need piety to expand, and here's why. With the new J Dragon DLCs, you gain new casus belli. So it used to be, for Ireland, that you had to simply wait until you fabricated claims and you just sit there for the longest time. But nowadays, you actually have new casus bellis. So instead of waiting for an absurd amount of time to fabricate a claim, I can instead just do a border dispute, which costs, due to my size, 100 piety and 100 gold. So the gold, a bit easier to come by than the piety, but that's why I chose theology, so I'm actually able to declare these wars. It's the wrong button. Alright, so I have 474 levies. Let's look around. 500, 422, 400, 500. Nothing I can declare on him. I'm looking for someone to tributize at this moment, because one of the CBs added by Paradox in the new Jade Dragon DLC is the extort tribute, casus belli, which means that the person that you tributize is forced to give you a certain amount of their income per year, and it is 40% of their income, and while they do break 3 upon your death, they are able to be called into war. So basically you subjugate people, and it's basically a free alliance. And they are forced to, they have to join your war, which means you tributize one person, have that person tributize another person on the island. You snowball, you cannot be stopped. You're having multiple thousand troops. There's nothing anybody could possibly do to you that would have you lose. You are able to use the full levies of other counts in order to supplement your own, and you're unstoppable. Absolutely unstoppable, and you conquer your way across the island very, very quickly. Normally, I would look for a court physician, but I'm eyeing for a certain event, and you'll see it eventually. I'm not going to say what it is for now, but I'm looking for a certain event that would actually expedite my quest for the Empire of Britannia in the quickest possible way. This man is my heir. He's exactly my age, though, but he's actually not my son. I think he's just my kinsman. So actually, I'm going to find someone to marry. I don't think any of them have claims to any good land. Let's see if are there any daughters here. There are. Let's see if I can do a betrothal between me and. No, they're not going to accept marriages due to my difficulty. Plus, she's too high in succession. Yeah, they would have to really like you. Nope, no one there, so I'm not going to be able to gain marriages and press any claims that way, unfortunately. I'll have to work on that. Perhaps it'll be open up to me once I have more prestige. But, until then, I can't do anything like that. I'm going to choose my ambition. It is going to be groom and heir for the extra fertility. I'm going to marry some two-bit schmuck of a woman. Let's do her. She's Greek. We'll lose a little bit of prestige from that, but it's irrelevant. We're actually going to have the gameplay now. Alright. Let's gain some gold. We need that for the wars. And looking through, so we are a noble Christian chiefdom, agnatic, cognatic, gable kind. Which means I'm only going to have about one son, and then I'm going to become celibate to prevent my kingdom from fracturing. The way gable kind works is that all the primary titles go to the main son, and the other sons actually, or anybody available for succession. So if you had absolute cognatic, it would go to females too. All the other titles are split between the rest of the children, which means your realm fractures completely. You have claims on all the land, but you actually have to re-subjugate the land, which is a pain. I'd rather not do that if I don't have to. Though this is Catholicism, which is very easy to actually manage vassals and troops and all that. Catholicism is one of the more overpowered religions in the game, if not the most overpowered religion in the entire game. Catholicism is. So this would be quite simple to manage any vassals, and you'll see why in a little bit. But all I need to do is focus on getting a child. Right now, I am going to join the Benedictine Order. There are other orders to join. Normally I would join the Hermetic Society, but I'm tribal, so I'm not able to do this. And Lucifer's Own, while very entertaining, is not something I'll be doing in this semi-serious campaign. I do have a goal. It is to quickly form Britannia, so I'm not going to mess around and play around. It's going to be simply Dominican Order for the extra stewardship, which is better than the learning. Yes. The Benedictines, great honor, and join this. My goal is to get to Oblitus, the second rank, as quickly as possible, so I'm able to take a vow of celibacy, so I'm able to not deal with having children ever again, preventing my realm from fracturing. Nothing really interesting in the decisions, so I'm actually going to check the levies again. Within a few months, I'll have enough levies to probably tributize somebody here. I have to be careful because I have to really outnumber people because of the 50% morale bonus. They'll have equal amount of men. I'm probably going to have to take a loan here. Well, I shouldn't say loan. I should say I will be taking well, it is a loan. It says so in the actual tooltip. Loans don't work the same way in EU4 in this game. Basically, a loan is just this button. You take this 300 ducats and you pay it back whenever you want to. There are no loans, there's only budget deficit, which you hardly ever go into and you should never really go into. So it's irrelevant. But this is basically free money, and this is how I'm going to snowball. Borrow that money. He's fairly powerful. Actually, I don't want him. I want to actually claim this duchy for myself. So I'm actually going to declare on him. Raise everything. And I don't want myself. Let's have him. And let's see if I'm actually able to get away without calling mercs in. I probably not. 103,000, 13,800, so I'm probably not. Morale damage 6, morale damage 10. I'm probably not going to be able to get away with this. We'll see though. I'm actually going to go this down a couple ticks. I'm actually quite curious. And volley tactic, general skirmish tactic. We have a few more archers that actually did quite devastation to their morale. I'm actually quite surprised I did not have to buy mercs. Intriguing. So we won, and that basically means we won the entire battle war. Let's do that again. Oh, we're fortunate. I actually captured him in battle. He can't afford the ransom. Doesn't have that much gold anyway. So I actually am going to just accept the offer here. And voila, he's now my tributary. I'm very glad that I did not have to buy mercs, because now I have extra gold to declare more wars and do other things. So I'm actually going to have you stand down. Then I'm actually going to take this guy as well. Yes. And with the combined might of my tributary and myself, there's no way you can possibly stand against us. Have attach. And we have 900 men, and there's absolutely no way that we can possibly lose. Perhaps I spoke too soon. Nope, we won. Let's go down here. And we're going to siege us down. Alright, so event, let's see what it says. I have received a letter from my fellow members of the Benedictine Order, Pascal. Dear brother, unpronounceable, will you, as the Christian scholar you are, please offer me some advice on my poetry. Well, this is worthless. The metaphors are a bit forced, I'm afraid. Let's check the time of this recording. It is 20 minutes long, and I do want to keep my videos about 15, 20, 25 minutes long, just to have them small bites that everybody can do, multiple 1-hour videos. Kind of fairly unwatchable, I would say. So, I'm actually going to stop this video here, and I'll actually continue recording my next video, and you should see videos pop up in quick succession. Because basically I stop a video, I start uploading it, and then I start recording the next. But I am going to stop this video here, and we'll continue this in the next video. There should be lots of more gameplay in the next video, because this video, again, was my first video, so I had to explain kinda sorta who I was and what I do. So I hope this is a nice little bite into the content I'll be providing in the future. But this is Zalthor signing off for the time being. I will see all of you in the next video.